Hi, my name is Sam Johnson, and I'm a voice teacher. Today I will be reacting to and analyzing Apink's Eun-ji performing Into the Unknown from Frozen 2. She doesn't have much of a real vowel on that top part. It's like it's kind of, the closest vowel is going to be a schwa, but she's not really articulating much with her jaw or her tongue or her lips. Like, she's not just doing much. It's kind of a closed down schwa, which if she rounded it a little bit more to an oo, we probably wouldn't get as much of the breathy sound that we get from it, just because it's like, it's a better vowel. It tunes the harmonics in a little bit of a different way, so we don't hear as much noise from it. It sounds easy though. Like, if it doesn't feel stressed, then we don't really need to fix that. Sounds good. Yeah, I wouldn't call that an ah or an o or an oo. It's cool though. To C sharp.
Some look for trouble while others don't. There's 1,000 reasons I should go about my day.
I'm not really gonna talk about her pronunciation in this, but her look, her intensity that she's looking right now, yeah, those were words, right? Those were technically words. She's really in it already. She doesn't seem like checked out. From the moment that the video came up, she was like focused and in her character. And I think that that's an important thing, and it actually drives the voice a lot more than just making it interesting to look at. If you are connected to the piece, if you are connected to the emotion of whatever character you're playing, you're gonna be a better singer, and it's gonna motivate what you do with your voice in different ways, so that we're not just in technique brain, but we're in brain of whoever is singing this, brain of the character.
And ignore your whisper, which I wish should go away.
Yeah, that sounds cool. That's up to the A, so that's an area where if we want it to sound clear, if we want it to sound belty at all, you need to start getting a lot more space than what she's giving right now. She's giving a little bit of horizontal space, but again, it's just the difference in color. So if you're trying to imitate this singing high notes with a really intense sound, but you use that vowel, it's probably not going to work. We are going to need just a little bit more space. But I mean, she's so comfortable up there, and her vocal folds are so used to being up there that she has a little bit of flexibility with her vowel. So she's just doing that because it's giving this interesting tone. It just wouldn't work as you get louder.
You're not a voice, you're just a ringing in my ear. And if I hurt you, which I don't, I've spoken for I fear. Everyone
She's got a very bright voice. It's beautiful.
I'm sorry, secret siren, but I'm blocking.
I like that little strong, weak, strong, that kind of lilting pattern. It just makes it an interesting phrase. So a lot of the time I talk about how I want legato, and that is true, but we also need to be able to like play with the language and play with the natural rhythm of each phrase. And I think that you can have both. You can have legato smoothness and some like variety in how you're performing it. And that's kind of what I'm hearing with this, where it doesn't sound bop, 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 bop. It sounds nice and smooth, but we get like this playfulness that just really works well. So strong, weak is a very important concept. A lot of times beginning singers, all singers in general, but a lot of beginning singers will just like blast every single note with the same intensity. And not every note matters in the same way. Plus, it's just way more interesting, as she's proving.
Your call, I have my adventure.
Okay, on call, she kind of went to more of the vowels that I aesthetically like, yes, but also that I think set you up to start going to higher notes better, which is vertical space. And then as soon as she found that place, she was able to play with it a little bit and start opening to a wider, brighter sound, because she does have like some inherent brightness in her voice, and she is a lighter voice. Not everyone has as light of a voice, and sometimes just having that makes it easier to go to these higher notes. And that's where some of these vocal classifications do start to actually make sense. Where like, yeah, she's probably a real soprano, because she's able to go up there so easily. Does that mean that you, a non-natural soprano, are not going to be able to go up there? Maybe, but probably not, because you can adjust your technique to make it so that the range isn't as much an issue. And that's why when we get to really high level of singing, especially in classical music, voice classification is all about color. It's not really about what notes you can hit. It's mostly about color. Like with her, she has a much lighter voice than you would need to sing Wagner. Pretty much everyone has too light of a voice to sing Wagner, but you know, it gets very specific like that. So, I don't know, there's some usefulness in vocal classification, but I think that the bigger use for most people is just what part you're singing in a choir. And if you're not singing in a choir, maybe don't think about it until you're like really good and applying for jobs.
I don't need something new. I'm afraid of what I'm risking if I follow you into the unknown.
Nice, beautiful open vowel.
Unknown.
Ah!
Into the unknown.
Yeah, so exactly. She went up to the F sharp, which is a well belty note. She sings it gorgeously. Really open vowel, like it has a little bit of wide space, but it's matched with that downness. So I think that the wide, like the horizontal space is mostly for color, for the brightness of it. But I bet that she could find balance if she wanted it to sound more intense and a little bit darker. Just bring that in a little bit. She doesn't want that. I don't want that for her. I think that sounds amazing. That's gorgeous. That's why I made a little mouse sound or whatever that sound was. And then she closes back down to the one that doesn't amplify it in as strong of a way.
Could you been keeping me awake? Are you here to distract me so I make a big mistake? Or you someone out there?
That was a really pretty use of vibrato. I haven't noticed any vibrato in her sound up till now. And vibrato is a weird thing because vibrato just kind of comes out when everything is in a balanced place if you let it and if you can kind of trick it into happening. Most of the time it does, but it's also just like this magical weirdness that, yeah, that's why we go with let's just keep waiting for it and balancing the rest of the voice because it generally does come out when it's ready. But once you do have a vibrato that's able to be kind of controlled, that you can turn it on and off, it's introducing a small level of tension on the vocal cord to not let it get that oscillation. So she's had that small level of tension, which is not a bad thing. Like, it's inherent in making that straight tone sound. And then she just kind of released that, and we get a little bit of a different color to her voice when she does that. It does darken up a little bit. It sounds, I don't know, it's a different sound, which we don't want the whole thing to be the exact same. When I'm analyzing things and when I'm working with people in person, a lot of times I will ask for it to be like super boring and super consistent all the way through, but that's just because it gives you a blank canvas that you can then start playing around with like she's doing.
Who's a little bit like me? Who knows deep down I'm not where I'm meant to be?
Yeah, she only uses the shallow vowels when she's making it a little bit breathier.
Every day's a little harder as I feel my power glow. Don't you know there's part of me that loves to go into the unknown, into the unknown.
There's a little bit of a change in her tongue. You could see just something moved when she went from the higher note to the lower note. And that's because when we get up to some notes that you have to actually sing, high notes, every note is going to have a little bit of a difference with it, even if the vowel is going to be perceived as basically the same. And I perceive that as basically the same vowel, but there does have to be a slight anatomical difference. And that's why we can't get so locked up in one mouth position, in just one position, because if you do, it'll start introducing weird strain because it's not amplifying things in the right way, and then that good vowel isn't feeding back the energy to stabilize the vocal folds. So she knows what each of those notes is supposed to feel like. She's practiced each of them probably 1.5 billion times, and now she can just go between them without having to think about those little positions because it needs to be instinctive. And she is awesome.
Into the unknown.
I love that.
Are you out there? Do you know me? Can you feel me? Can you show me?
The E, that's what I mean by drop your jaw. So if you've ever had a lesson with me, you know how I feel about E vowel and how much space I think it needs on high notes. That's it. And then when she opened it to the yes, there was more space, but she started with a little pillow of space already. It didn't start from it wasn't that much movement. It was her tongue was like well forward, and then it did like kind of pop apart from the lower tooth for just a moment, a split second as she was moving between that. So that might be one thing that we'd work on in a lesson, is just making sure that the tongue isn't a little too overactive, but everything she's doing is awesome. And so that's nitpicking, and that is admittedly nitpicking. But for you, it's not nitpicking because you're not a awesome K-pop singer, probably. I feel like that's a safe assumption. And if you are, I so apologize. Yeah, nice little, it's a diminuendo by pulling the mic away, so we're not getting as much sound source. We're getting a little bit of a radiant sound source, and it actually introduces a little bit more of the echo of the room. It introduces a little bit of reverb without her mixer having to introduce any of that into it, because like that's a pretty hard room. It's gonna be bouncing off the walls quite a bit. So moving like this, we're actually picking up the sound waves in the room a lot more than just the direct sound waves from her instrument into the microphone. So it just sounds a little bit echoier. We get a little bit of a quieter sound from it. I think it's cool.
Where are you going? Don't leave me alone. How do
Lone. On that lone, it wasn't the loud, it was alone. And then we got a little bit of the vibrato onto it. So again, like choosing good vowels will help influence vibrato because it sets it up to be more efficient, or it takes away a little bit of that tension. And then we can use that to start knowing what awesome things feel like and play with it. And she is playing the out of it. Insert expletive. She's playing the cuss out of it.
follow you into the unknown?
Yeah, gorgeous. Just everything about it, gorgeous. On the U, on that top note, she didn't do a U because that would start sounding a little opera-y if she rounded it to like a very ooh in that area, because it will flip her into a more head-dominant coordination. She doesn't want that. She goes with the yo. We still hear it as you, and that's one of those little modifications that we need to do in order to get the tone that we desire up there, because it would sound insane if she went to the like very head-dominant you and then back to the very wide own. So awesome. I love this. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just a little bit giddy because this is so cool. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, YouTube things, all of them. Leave a comment below, and do me a favor and have a great day.